So those that are familiar with my channel might recognize that I'm not uploading very often, and that's because pre-planned, pre-recorded videos do tend to take a very long time to make. I have to do research, write out a script, I have to make sure the grammar and everything is fine, and then I record it. I have to make sure I do a good job recording it, I have to edit it, and then I have to, that's just the audio stuff, and then the video stuff is like the other half of the process. And I realized that, there are just so many things out there that I want to talk about, but I just don't have the time, considering the kind of format that I created. And there's so many things that go unsaid because of this really strict format of quality that I'm always trying to achieve. And I'm always trying to find alternatives to speed up the process of creating these videos. But no matter what I do, it still takes me, if I were to do it full time, it would take me a couple of days to make these videos because, again, I have to make sure a lot of the research is accurate and it does take quite a bit of time. And of course, all of the post-production stuff involved. So I decided just to do a little experiment of mine to see if I can speed up the process, get the word out a lot quicker about certain subjects that I think need to be talked about that are important to me in our modern day entertainment. And I'm going to try and do this for all three of my shows, Y Cartoons, Y Movies, and Y Games. But I'm not going to replace the original Y series format. Occasionally I might want to, when it comes to more delicate issues, like how sequels and prequels do not equal to success, I felt that I really needed to plan out my words very carefully. And so it would require that level of production to create something like that. However, when it comes to smaller things, I'm going to do this sort of like single podcast type of format, and I see what you guys think. And I always think that scripted stuff is always better, but at this point, I think that this is a necessary evil if I'm able to upload more often and to get more of my thoughts on certain situations out there more often. So I want to talk about the very first thing in this format I want to talk about is Quake 2 with its new ray tracing buzz that's going on around the internet recently. Now, one of the things that people are saying that is so special about Quake 2 RTX is that it's a source port of Quake 2 that is designed to take advantage of the ray tracing capabilities of the modern Turing graphics cards from NVIDIA. And but here's the thing. There's a couple of things that people need to understand to truly understand what is the significance of this and also what is the problem with this. Problem number one is the performance issues. Now, some people say that the reason why, for instance, Battlefront 5, the reason why that game runs, kind of slow on like a RTX 2070 or 2080 is because, it's Battlefield 5. It's like one of the most graphically intensive games ever. But then you realize that it really is the ray tracing that is so costly in terms of performance, and it's very apparent when it comes to Quake 2, this game that came out in 1997. Now, to be fair, they did update some of the stuff other than the ray tracing elements, such as improved textures, improved weapon models and stuff like that. But really, it's very minor improvements. This is stuff that you can run, these high quality textures and the high quality weapons. It has been around for many years. You can run this sort of stuff on a Core 2 Duo. I know because I have a Core 2 Duo. And I think it is important to note that even though it's Quake 2, if you have like an RTX 2070, you're going to get, on medium ray tracing quality, it's going to run maybe around 60 FPS, but go any higher than that, the frame rate is just going to plummet. And this is led me to come to this conclusion. Now, here's the thing. There are methods of implementing semi-ray tracing, like maybe only enabling ray tracing in certain aspects, like with Battlefield 5. Like, the entire scene wasn't completely done with ray tracing, as some elements were skipped in order to conserve performance. Whereas, Quake 2 RTX is, fully ray traced. Everything, reflections, lighting, bloom lighting, all of that stuff is done by ray tracing, and that's why the game does look really good. It is by far the best looking version of Quake 2. But saying that it's the best looking version of Quake 2 really isn't saying much. There are a lot of modern, like, really graphically intensive games that aren't using ray tracing that, to be fair, does still look better than Quake 2 RTX. And I'm not saying that people aren't aware of that. A lot of people are fully aware that Quake 2 RTX is pretty much just this crazy experiment, this interest that a lot of people, particularly owners of RTX graphics cards, want to experiment with. But this led me to the final conclusion, with the poor performances of other games that use ray tracing, that this generation of graphics cards, particularly with this generation of RTX in 2019, the horsepower of these GPUs is just not good enough. And to me, the 2000 series of RTX graphics cards, the 2080, 2070, especially the 2060, it's just not good enough for high frame rates, high resolution, and decent ray tracing quality. It's just not possible. And for a very long time, I've always been pushing and a lot of extreme, well, not extreme, but hardcore PC gamers have also been pushing for, optimization of games so that games can consistently run at high frame rates, even at high graphical settings on decent hardware. Because at the end of the day, what matters the most isn't so much the graphics, it's the gameplay. Now, don't get me wrong. Ray tracing is totally the future of real-time game rendering, okay? But we just don't have the horsepower right now. So for those that feel pressured into purchasing these graphics cards, these extremely expensive graphics cards that are like $1,000 or something like that, especially if you want decent performance with ray tracing enabled, you have to get the higher end cards like the 2080. And this is a major concern because a lot of people purchase these cards thinking that they're future-proofing their computer, but the reality is that they're actually kind of, in a way, dating their system. Because, yes, ray tracing is the future, but current ray tracing hardware is not the future. It's kind of like back in the 90s where, hardware accelerated graphics was new, and people were, take for instance NVIDIA's early graphics cards like the Riva 128 and the Riva TNT. Like, yeah, those were good for the time, but very quickly, like just 2 years later, they became very much underwhelming compared to the GeForce line of graphics cards. And I'm pretty sure the same thing is going to happen with the current RTX, particularly the 2000 series of graphics cards. They're going to be outdated really quickly when the newer cards come out that are able to handle ray tracing at good frame rates, at good resolutions, at good detail. So at the moment, I'm sitting here with a computer that is powered by a second-hand GTX 1080, and I'm perfectly happy with it. Now, this isn't someone saying that, my PC is going to last me a long time, RTX is overrated. No, RTX is not overrated. It's just now's not the time to adopt this technology. Early adopters, for any kind of technology, really, they end up getting not a very good deal in the long run. And that is very true with the 2000 series of RTX graphics cards from NVIDIA. So to those that are thinking about buying a new graphics card, like if you've got the money, then sure. Because even if you don't have the ray tracing capabilities of the 2000 series of graphics cards, you're still going to get excellent performance for everything else. A lot of people are saying that without ray tracing turned on, the RTX 2060 is comparable to the 1080 or the 1080 Ti in terms of just raw performance, and that's still really good. It's just that it's kind of still an expensive card because you're still paying for that RTX technology. And the reason why I bought the GTX 1080, it was last year, back in 2018, as soon as the new 2018 2070 came out and the 2080 Ti, I actually got my card from a guy that was purely selling his 1080 just to get the 2080. That's it. This card that I'm using is still under warranty. It's only a couple months old when I got it. So I saved so much money, and I'm really happy with what I have at the moment. But you know what? Further down the line, maybe 3000, maybe after that 4000 series of NVIDIA graphics cards, maybe we'll get something that will justify the price of these really expensive ray tracing capable graphics cards, because now they'll actually have that raw performance to pull off ray tracing and high frame rates at the same time at decent resolutions. So just tell me what you guys think about this new format, and I hope to do more videos just like this one.